Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you to today's podcast show with my friend Nikos. And I forgot the last name again. You kill me. Tell it again.
Tsitsoulis.
Tsitsoulis. Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Nikos. I would like to welcome you to today's show. Today, we are going to spend 60 minutes roughly with Nikos Tsitsoulis. You are the hotel owner. You are co-owning the revenue management system. We know each other for years, I would say. So thank you very much for taking the time and being in Prague for me, hopefully.
Thank you, Radka. Always a pleasure to see you. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, welcome to Prague for you, for me as well, because you are here as a guest in Prague. I'm a guest as well in Prague because I do not live in Prague for more than 12 years. And you are coming, I would say... Quite often. I would say more to Prague than I'm coming to Prague, right?
It's my favorite city.
The best one. Nikos, actually tell us something about you, about where we have met. Can you just recall something? Like what was the first time when we have met? Because you have been working for a technology industry, industry. Now you are becoming a hotelier as well. So how was our first meeting? I cannot really recall it.
So I was working for one global technology leader in the hospitality, which has also a good presence in Eastern Europe, including Czech Republic. And I think you were one of these people that were always popping up on my LinkedIn feed. So it was literally impossible not to notice you, Radka.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. It's a hard job, I would say. Okay, so, but it was before Corona, no? 2019, 18, or even earlier?
Or definitely 2019, possibly earlier, yes.
Yes. Okay. Lovely. Okay. So
you've been longer in revenue management since me, so possibly when I was starting my career in revenue management in late 2014, after finishing a master degree in Switzerland, I packed my things and I decided to go to Emirates, to United Arab Emirates. I could possibly see you even earlier on LinkedIn because I was a self-learner and back then you didn't have that much information or courses available in regards to revenue management. There were lots of hard copy books you could order on Amazon with lots of formulas, and it really felt sometimes that it's more about mathematics and statistics. And I said, is it really what revenue management should actually do? So we definitely met in 2019, but I might seen you on LinkedIn much earlier.
Yeah, it just recalled me that I'm getting really old. Thank you very much, Nikos, for this reminder.
You said that.
Okay, that's right. I mean, I was starting with revenue management. It was 1999. And actually, I never knew I'm doing a revenue management because I was 19 years old. Now it's public. I was 19 years old and I was working in an Intercontinental Hotels group. And before that, we have been starting to doing a little bit of the dynamic pricing. But I never understood why we are actually doing this. I was getting, the rates from revenue management system, maybe a little bit later, 2002, maybe 2003. From the revenue management system, getting my hurdle rates. I need to decide what kind of rates I will be selling. And this was I was actually inputting into the central reservation system. But actually...
So you were the rate inputter, or how would you call it?
I was at the time working in a reservation department. So I was actually only executing what I was given from the sales and revenue department. So this was my actually early years of revenue management. And since that, actually, it just evolved. For me, revenue management is a commercial management rather than, the mathematics and all these kind of things. Of course, you need it because the technology behind it, it's based on the mathematics. But tell us, everyone, where are you coming from originally? Because I'm the Czech girl, you are the Greek guy.
Yeah. So I originally come from Thessaloniki, Greece. But I've been living abroad since 2009. I left to study abroad, both for my bachelor's and master's. and then I've done an international career in hospitality. In 2019, I decided to rebrand myself and go into the technology, and that's why I joined a global hospitality technology firm. And then, 2020, COVID came, and everyone could work remotely. And then basically I said it's a good opportunity to return back home and continue working from home. I think if COVID would have never happened, I would still be changing countries every 2, 3, or maximum 4 years.
But you have a family actually as well at this moment, right?
Yes.
It's amazing. I mean, if you have this opportunity as a hoteliers or the tech hotel experts, then it's great to work from home. I mean, you anyway visit the clients on spot, which is usually how we are actually doing the business, or the best business we can do is always, meeting the hoteliers, isn't it?
Correct, yes.
And this is why you have came to Prague.
Yes.
To meet the hoteliers.
There was actually an event from one of our partners yesterday, their annual event, and I was a speaker, but it was an absolutely great opportunity to meet friends, partners, some clients, and also new hoteliers as well.
Okay, lovely. So before we will come to what you are actually doing right now and what is your new life in a hospitality industry, tell us, how do you see the hospitality in Czech Republic or maybe in the Europe in terms of price management and revenue management, because you are experienced, let's say, revenue manager, you are owning or co-owning revenue management system HotelLab. So tell me what is the situation right now on the market, because you can oversee it based on a different country. So how do you see it right now?
So I can't say in detail for every single country because I haven't been working with all of them, at least yet. Of course, there is a very big gap in adoption of technology between Northern and Western Europe and Southern Eastern. This is very clear. Even in countries like Czech, there is a huge gap between Prague and hotels outside of Prague. So it's basically Prague and the rest. This is how I would call it.
Okay.
And sorry if it sounds somehow, but that's really reality. So in particular, in regards to revenue management adoption, I think that UK seems to be the leaders here. You have lots of cluster revenue managers managing using automation system like ours, even hostels, because by the end of the day, people understand that a revenue management system isn't only about increasing your revenue, which of course is one very important aspect through all these mathematics and recommendations, but it's also about saving time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's so much easier to justify as a return on investment how much time this can save you rather than how much it would help you to increase your revenue or RevPAR. And especially considering the fact that post-COVID, the most difficult part in our industry is actually staff. There is a huge lack of staff in hospitality in most European countries, including Greece. I think that there is a certain segment of hotels that we see, which is basically is getting more interested into the technology adoption because, they understand that they can do their job faster and easier.
Okay. It just, this is one thing what my clients, because I usually have small and middle-sized hotel independent properties. If I'm not talking about, for example, my biggest Greek client with 3 hotels, 680 rooms, but the smaller and like middle-sized hotels, they have a problem with the staffing, not only because of staffing, like lack of the people like joining the industry, but because it's like all in one. You are one person, but you are sitting on 5, 6 chairs and you have to manage everything. So every technology should be very quick and very easy to adopt for the hotel. And I remember when we have been discussing now with one client, like why we would actually change the channel manager. Okay, and then there was a discussion like what this should bring me, how it should be connected with the pricing, and the flexibility of connecting the pricing, the self-mapping and stuff like that. And I said, like, if you don't have a two-way interface, you need to be able to do the prices so easily and not to open every single field and type the number. So actually there is one channel manager where you can from your demand calendar, you copy your prices and you paste them into a channel manager and you are done like in second. Mm-hmm. And I said, like, this is exactly what we need. We need, of course, all these kind of little small tricks around, but we definitely need to save the time because there are another chairs waiting for the job to be done and you are the only one. Yeah. So I think the revenue management system is also not because of the pricing very useful. It's also because of the staffing. So, I mean, how would you say saving a time is like 30%, 40%? What is your experience?
Oh, no. In regards to revenue management, is significantly more.
Oh, lovely.
Actually, yesterday I was presenting some very recent statistics, and in luxury global chains, about 40 to 45% of revenue management staff is spent on routine administrative tasks, which could be all basically categorized as non-revenue generating activities. Mm-hmm. But the interesting thing that for independent properties, this would reach up to 66%.
Oh, it's lovely. I love it. Okay.
So lots of time being spent for nonsense, trying to export Excels from legacy server-based PMS, then trying to become a master guru in managing Excels and Power BI. And then we're, by the way, in budgeting season for some. Some global chains, of course, have finished, some not. And then it's about doing 10 or 20 or 30 versions of the budget just to please all
everyone,
political stakeholders. So by the end of the day, when is the really time to do strategy? Mm. Now, you're an expert in strategy, and the very funny thing about revenue management is the whole perception of revenue management.
Okay.
So
tell me about this.
You'll go and ask someone like, what's the definition of revenue management? And I've been also, as a hobby, doing some guest lecturing and supervising students in Switzerland, Austria, and also in Azerbaijan. And I really like the definition of, revenue management is about selling the right room to the right customer at the right time through the right distribution channel and with commission effectiveness. So this all leads us to the fact that I'm coming to the office, I need to run a pickup report, I need to see where it's picking up, where it's not picking up. I need to identify the trends. Then I need to go and check my competitor rates, what's happening in the market. And checking competitor rate doesn't mean that I want to copy-paste what my
competitors
do, but I just overall want to understand where this is going. Then I can go and check my rate parity to see if someone is undercutting me, because that could be obviously affecting my direct bookings. And then I need to run some other weekly reports on the length of stay or company production, etc., etc. But by the end of the day, all these definition and all these activities, they're related to tactical day-to-day revenue management. Yes. And the really funny thing that I start to understand not that long ago, it's been almost 10 years since I started my journey in revenue management, is that you need to stop and make one step back and say, what should be the strategy? What is the goal? Who are the responsible parties to implement these goals? When will I measure this goal? How will I measure this goal? And when I measure this goal, how I can refine that and make even better results next year.
You are talking like me, because I have there are hoteliers always coming to you and they say, okay, we have a low season problems, how to optimize everything and all these kind of things. And I said, like, you tell me what you would like to achieve. Why you are doing the things like you are doing them? And in many cases, there is no answer. There's only answer. Tell me what kind of rate I should open. What should be the price up and down?
Correct, because it's a reactive mode.
Okay, so
it's a reactive mode. This happened, I need to do this. That happened, I need to do that. But it's not a proactive, strategical approach.
And this is why I say the revenue management should be now transformed to the commercial management. So because my definition of my, let's say, how I actually evolve for myself, the revenue management is that it's kind of consisting of three parts. One is the demand generation, which is you and marketing team to work together so that we both know what to do. They produce the creatives and all these kind of things. They can do the automation. But I am going to say what we are going to do in order to achieve the goal. So it's like the commercial part, demand generation. Then you have the inventory management, yield management, and all these kind of things. So this is where you need to do the task as soon as you're going to do day-to-day task, or 3 times or 6 times a day task. Let's call it this way. It depends on a hotel. And then you have a data-based revenue management. So you need to have a data analyst. You don't really need to have anyone who knows how to do the commercial part or how to do the yielding part, because you need someone who understands, like, okay, there is my opportunity. This is what I do. This is where we need to really improve. And then those 3, let's say, levels, they need to coordinate between each other. But with a small hotel, you have to be all. With the bigger one, if you have a hotel chain, then it's clear, right? There are the people specializing in this. But in a small hotel, small boutique or middle size, and even the bigger, but the countryside hotel, I mean, who has this knowledge? I mean, imagine that. Like how many years you would need to do, to go through this. So I always say to my clients, don't worry about what's happening with your data. Make sure that you understand your core business, who you would like to be served, who is your niche or super niche client. Do everything for them, and then you will see how the things are going to work, and they're going to end up exactly as you want to be ending up in your reports, because you are doing the actions in that first level. So this is my definition, and this is my, let's say, calm down procedure when the clients are coming totally overwhelmed, like I'm not able to find a revenue manager, or I would like to have my general manager to have experience in revenue management. There are no people. And I said, like, okay, let's take it from the first commercial part, because there is nothing to analyze if you don't have a guest, right? So, I mean, it's very simple.
So it was 2016. I was back then working in Baku, Azerbaijan, for one of the luxury properties, part of a global chain. And basically I had already X years of experience in revenue management, leading a team, a reservations team. Also had a revenue analyst, and I was just basically trying to improve my day-to-day routine and trying to automate everything I could based on the tools that I had, right? Digital transformation is another big topic we can touch on later, but as a director of revenue, I was only related with my own part and not with the whole property. So we're using back then a revenue management system, and this revenue management system wouldn't have an integrated BI and analytics. So we still had to rely a lot on standardized reports by the global chain and tweak them, or also have our own reports for the executive committee and the way they would like them to see. And we were spending a lot of time for reporting. And then I said, okay, maybe I should really start learning how to do macros, the small programming in Excel, where you can just put some rules like import these to these cells, etc., some basic automation. And then I basically sit back and said, no, why should I do that? I'm a director of revenue, right? And then I found a freelancer, a really beautiful, nice lady in Ukraine, and she was so good with Power BI and basically with macros, etc. And then just basically spoke with her for an hour. I gave her the brief of which reports I want to automate, how this wants to look. I told her, okay, this is how I can export from my RMS. This is how I can export from the PMS. This is how this is the raw file, and I want you to build that. And yeah, basically, Radka, she gave me a quote, and it took her like maybe a week, not more than that. Of course, for a big chain, setting up Power BI could take longer, but still. And then basically, I just improved certain aspects in my job just by paying few €100 to a freelancer to help me do that, and I never had to learn macros. And instead I said, okay, but I'm a director of revenue. There are more things I need to do. I need to manage the team. I need to motivate the team. I need to set goals for the team to grow and not sit back and do Excels.
Yeah, this is actually the thing, and it just reminded me this week I had a training for hotel budgeting, and I was creating a special file for my small and middle-sized hotels to do the budget in a very easy way and structured based on a USALI format. And it's so easy. And I remember yesterday we had the catch-up call, and one of the hoteliers...
Catch-up call?
Catch-up call.
Ketchup or ketchup?
Ketchup, both.
Ketchup, okay.
Ketchup. And then he just told me, look, I'm using my BI. This is the technology I'm using. But looking at your file, it's so easy and so structured that every single hotelier, even you have never done any budget, you can simply create your budget because it has such a lovely structure, and it's also, transformed to the USALI format. So you actually can see immediately the impact of certain costs and revenue on your bottom line. So it was nice to get also like the confirmation of other hoteliers which are using technologies, and they are paying tons of money for that they can start, even though to have internal file, like my Excel file, to work with this. I mean, it's not Excel, it's Google Sheet. So it's even better because then you can share it with the team and not worrying about who has been changing what solution or which version of the file is the latest one. But okay, I like it very much, our interview. But let's move to your life from being employed to co-own your own company, and then to go to the hotel, because you have bought 1 year ago a hotel. So how it actually involved for you coming from technology industry to go for a hotel? Like, what's going on?
So, again, I will take you a few years back. So, I actually started from operations, which was definitely not something I liked. I thought that, one day I might kill some guest and they will put me in jail. So I said I need to go to back office. And then I went to digital marketing and e-commerce. But this was quite technical with all the search engine optimization and Google advertisement. And look, I like, to a certain degree, the technical part, but it felt that, the revenue management is more strategic. And, maybe because I was a chess player throughout my childhood and up to being a teenager, I thought that this is really what I need to do. And that's why I went into revenue management. So I always dreamed into becoming a regional and then a vice president, etc. And actually, when I was in the global chains, I had also this opportunity. I was just a couple of months before turning 30, I had the opportunity to manage 53 properties. But then I realized that, hospitality and hospitality technology is just evolving so slowly. Like, I was working in a luxury 5-star property, and it really felt that, we're a dinosaur. Literally, we're a dinosaur. We're just...
No, it's not so bad.
It is.
Really?
I basically had to employ a revenue analyst in a B market with an annual occupancy of 60%, where typically one revenue manager is enough, just to be able to help me with all the technical stuff, like, did this channel open, it didn't open, is this rate code pushing properly? We had so many technical problems and so many Excels. So that's why in 2019, as I stated earlier, I rebranded myself and I joined one of the global technology companies, which I've been using as a hotelier. That's the whole point. So I saw how this company basically started from being small and start growing and growing and growing just by, providing a better product, providing better customer service, and third, which I think is very important, keeping humble, because having the best product and the best customer support doesn't really mean that you need to start changing your culture and, raise up the nose. So staying humble. And people loved it. People loved it. So in 2020, I met Anatoly Burdakov. He was a Russian origin, also commercial and revenue leader, with an experience in Canada and South Africa, and of course Russia. And then I thought, Nico, maybe this life doesn't give you too many chances. Maybe it's one, maybe it's two. I always had this on the back of my head. How could my career be if I would join this technology leader in the early days and not in 2018? So then I said, okay,
let's build something.
let's do it. So back then I asked for some help from my family, and I basically said, okay, let's see where this can take us. And I basically invested in the startup HotelLab, and the moment was just ideal. I invested 1.5 months before COVID.
Oh, lovely. So you used COVID time to develop the product.
So it was a quite challenge, right? Last year, I basically have been already employed for 4+ years in my previous employer, and I said, okay, it's about time to join HotelLab, where I'm a shareholder, and try, shaping the product and also scaling the system. We have a quite different approach from many other revenue management system, and that's what I've basically done. And I can tell you that from my initial goal 10 years back of becoming a good revenue manager, I think I achieved it, at least up to a certain degree. I definitely don't have yet your experience, but it just felt that, after joining a startup, it's a whole new world, because from a good revenue manager, in order to become a good entrepreneur, there are quite so many steps to take. At the same time, last year, we had an opportunity with a friend of mine in Greece, and we were able to buy a small property, 25 rooms, a small resort in North Greece next to Thessaloniki. And that was after my new baby having to learn how to become, again, not only a good revenue manager, because I think I've done a quite good job for my hotel as a revenue manager, but a good owner.
This could be challenging, because then you are having a lot of hats. But okay, before we go to the hotel, let's go to the revenue management system. You have mentioned that there is a Prague, and then there is the rest of the Czech Republic.
And the rest.
And the rest. And the thing is, I believe this is the same for every single country. You have a Paris, and then there is the rest of the France. You have a UK, you have a London, and then there is the most likely rest of the country in terms of using the technology and doing the business in a completely different way. And the city hotels, they have completely different needs in terms of working with the revenue management system, because there is a higher competition than the hotels in a countryside, like leisure hotels or resort hotels. Because in many cases, the hotels in a city, they are not being seen as a destination, because they are in the destination. But the leisure and resort hotel in a countryside, in the middle of nowhere, they have to become a destination in order for a client to say, okay, let's travel 200 kilometers over there to this hotel. So it is not like location based, but it's like what I can experience based business. And then there's a completely different approach also to the revenue management. How do you have structured your revenue management system? Because I believe, because you have your hotel in Greece, outside the big city, it's going to be, as we have spoken, you would like to, upgrade it and renovate it and build, something new on top of that. So, I mean, how do you see, like, are you defining yourself as a revenue management system for the city hotels, or is more like a countryside? Like, because there could be a different approach to revenue management, and there should be actually. So how you have structured it inside your technology?
Yeah. So actually, the story here is quite interesting. Again, when I invested in HotelLab, it was a couple of months before COVID, and then during COVID, HotelLab had to work with different types of clients. Some of them were city hotels, some of them were resorts, some of them were big hotels, some of them were very small hotels, some of them were even glampings, hostels, and we even have in our portfolio hybrid properties, which is a whole new thing, right? Because technically hybrid properties is two different products just in one building.
Yes.
But two completely different products. So I'm pretty much sure you understand that during COVID, a startup can't say no to potential business, right?
You take simply everything.
It would be a luxury the team back then wouldn't have. So what the team decided to do, they decided to basically adjust the algorithm for the algorithm to start becoming quite flexible and to be able to adjust to the individual needs of every single hotel. That approach is something that I don't think any other revenue management system is taking. Now, of course, going after COVID, we realized that we want to offer a solution and not a service, right? Mm-hmm. And having to basically, every time there is a XYZ change in strategy or segmentation, having to rebuild the algorithm manually is becoming more of a service than rather a solution. So moving out of COVID, we realized still this is our unique selling point. This is how we're differentiated from other revenue management system. And then we start to give this tweaking of the algorithm to the user so that basically the users can input their own strategies in the revenue management system. The reason why we do that is because revenue management systems are based on mathematics, statistics, and this is a machine learning algorithm with neural networks. And obviously, there are much better and faster in order to learn from big data and identify trends. But trends have nothing to do with strategy.
No.
Because maybe for the next week, my competitors are dropping the price in Prague because indeed there is a slight shift in demand. But if any RMS would identify that, yes, there is this trend, great. So what are you going to do about that? Should you decrease the price because competitors did? Maybe yes. But what I'm trying to explain, that identifying trends is the tactical part of analyzing all this data. So what we're trying to do with HotelLab, we're basically trying to balance your input as an experienced commercial leader, or as machine would say, a human, right? Versus the machine. And how do we do that? You can basically add strategies into the system, and then the system would have to propose recommendations that would be aligned with your strategy.
I'm sorry, when you say propose, it means like one thing is machine learning, the other side is the human. Is there any AI in between? Because when you say propose, so how does it look like, this propose? Yeah.
So basically, a revenue management system would propose the rate on particular rate plans.
Okay. So this is not
it could be your bar, your non-refundable, and then it could be some our yield management model where basically if you know that you have 10 rooms to sell and you can sell them on a price higher than 130 euros, but your hotel bed's discounted price is 80, therefore our RMS would be able to basically tell you that you need to close out your cheaper discounted rates.
Okay, lovely. So this is how it works. Okay.
Yeah.
Because, sorry to disturb you, because at this moment there is a lot of AI discussion and revenue. And when you said propose, so I was like, are we already there in a revenue management?
No, definitely we're not there. And the confusion is because machine learning is one of the categories of artificial intelligence. But we hear a lot the term AI over the last almost 2 years due to ChatGPT, which ChatGPT is a generative AI. So while revenue management systems that are based on machine learning have been for 30 plus years on the market, so that's nothing new, the usage of AI is quite new. And up to today, I'm only familiar with certain companies that have integrated generative AI into the system, which can basically summarize some data. Like you can ask your personal assistant, like what's the pickup, and give me a suggestion, and it will
give you the suggestion,
give you an answer. Which I'm not saying is bad. Is something definitely interesting to look in. I don't really know, because I'm not a specialist in AI, on how this would evolve. But the particular part of just giving a summary is definitely more of a very early implementation of AI, because look, for an experienced commercial person, he knows exactly what he needs to check and when he needs to check it. And I'm very skeptical on whether you or someone else would really need this type of an experience with the revenue management system. But then again, I think it's quite early. I think that it is much clearer how AI can be used in potentially other technologies within hospitality, like chatbots or phone centers, or at least that's how I feel. Now, as a hotel owner, I try to become a generalist. So from a good revenue manager, I also need to set up all the technological infrastructure at my own hotel, which obviously I want this at certain point to include call centers, etc. So I'm having a look also as a hotelier to what technology exists right now. But again, I think that today the first product categories to implement AI would be related with chatbot and communication with
clients,
guests,
like a customer experience, before maybe you arrive also to the hotel, because like helping you also to choose the room or find the room or answer to the question you have. So you don't need to search that much.
Especially and when I say AI in this case, I need to specify we mean generative AI based on the application that ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot can have.
Okay, I mean, I don't want to jump too much into the AI, but we have just a little bit touched it. There is a technology which is actually taking the knowledge about your hotel, and it's actually giving out the answers based on, let's say, maybe the industry knowledge, but also based on the information which who you are about your data and stuff like that. So there is already, a good, let's say, case study.
Correct.
So let's see how the things are going to evolve. But don't talk about AI because we've never finished.
And coming to the question, if our revenue management system is better for city hotels or resorts or remote hotels, I think that we are offering a quite universal product because exactly of this customization of the algorithm, and also the fact that you can input strategies. And while most of our hotels would be city hotels, however, myself being Greek, we did start specializing last year up to a certain extent for the resort segment. And very fast we were able to become, I think, Greece's most adopted RMS. And obviously it feels this is only the start. And the reason for that is very simple, Radka. Everyone needs to have their segment and niche. And it feels like really the global companies, they basically want to offer a product for their core markets, and their core markets would always be North America and North Europe, and there are no resorts there, or at least not that many.
No, that's right.
And we start realizing that revenue management for resorts is quite more complicated technically. There are more complicated things. And trust me, I also realized that as a hotel owner as well, that it's very different from city hotels with an average length of stay of 1.5 or 1.8.
Coming to 7, right? How the business can be definitely changed. I mean, I am working with independent hotels like indie hotels for last 15 years, I would say. So I see completely different approach what's happening in a city and what's happening in a countryside and resort hotels. And I feel like this is where we need the most of the, let's say, support and technology transformation, and because there is a more need, because there is everything already ready, prepared for the city hotels, because all chain hotels, they have their own technology. It is kind of being used by those city hotels, but the countryside, because of that completely different approach to the business. You have more segments. You are having groups. You are having weddings. You are having 7 nights, the mice, and like everything. So there is a quite difficult to do. Also find a strategy, because you say, okay, during the weekdays we have this, and during the weekend we have that. So, okay.
And you touched also a very important part, which is the competitors. Earlier, you said that the relevance of competitors for certain rural hotels could be different, or competitors could be in other locations. And that's also something that we experience as HotelLab in Greece and in other resorts destinations where we're present. That would include, by the way, Egypt and Bulgaria, with some hotels that are basically every year decreasing their guaranteed allotment and started to work more and more with individuals and increasing this share. Now I came to Prague, right? I came for an event, or I could come to Prague with my, family for a few days. So basically, I will be choosing a hotel in Prague, right? I wouldn't stay in Brno if I want to come to Prague.
You could.
No, I don't think so. That wouldn't make much sense. But if you want to fly to Crete, and in Crete there are 3 airports, for a very big part of the travelers, it wouldn't really matter to be located in a specific village in Crete, or whether in another specific village in Crete, because by the end of the day, when you're going for your annual holidays, you want a nice hotel, ideally close to the beach, or sometimes on the beach. Greece is not that much about all-inclusive resorts and basically not getting out of the hotel for 2 weeks, which Egypt
could be the case.
More like that. I just, by the way, came from vacations in Egypt in October. And what do you want this hotel to have? You want it to be clean. You want it to be spacious, because you cannot have holidays for 2 weeks in 15 square meters like you have in a city, right? You definitely want to have good food at breakfast, because it's one thing to stay in a city hotel for 2 nights and having the same breakfast. It's another thing to stay in a resort and have the same breakfast for 14 days. You want this more or less to be accessible, right? Because if this hotel is in the middle of nowhere and the bus station is 40 minutes away from there, and you need every day to, take the taxi to go to
the city.
That could be quite expensive. But by the end of the day, the leisure destination seems, for a leisure destination, seems that identifying a concept is completely different from identifying concept for city hotel.
That's for sure. I mean, we have been doing now this exercise for one of my Greek clients. And I said, like, look, we should go outside. It's not about the Crete. It's not about, this island or that island. We are talking about the Turkey. We are talking about Spain. We are talking about Egypt. This is where actually it is. And it's more about yes, in terms of this client and what we have done, like the exercise, and when you talk to the customers, like real clients on the spot, and you ask them, like, why you have chosen this hotel. So they tell you, okay, we came because of this, and that. And then you finally understand a little bit more. You just need to talk to the people to simply, have a knowledge of who actually is your competition. But the thing is, that it's a different leisure when you are traveling with travel agency, and leisure if you are just taking your own car or the train and,
Yes.
explore your own way, how to get there and stuff like that. So, I mean, the industry is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to your hotel, shall we?
And by the way, since you said, shall I go to Crete or shall I go to Egypt? I definitely think this happens sometimes. It happened to us. Basically, we had a request at my hotel, I think from Romania, from a group of friends that wanted to book 3 rooms. And basically, they actually decided to book a room, and they said, like, please send us the confirmation, please send us the payment link, and we've sent them everything. And then next day we get an email from them like, hey, sorry guys, but Greece was so expensive that we, I think, decided to go to Mallorca. So please cancel a reservation. We decided to go to Mallorca. While I don't think that's really happening very, very often, but I would say that this would happen more often in the luxury or ultra luxury segment, where basically, as you said earlier, one hotel can become a destination. So for properties such as Burj Al Arab, I think that it's much more relevant to them that they could be competing with other ultra luxury properties in other destinations and in other countries, because it's about
completely different experience.
Correct.
It's not about the city, but it's the experience you are looking for and you are booking, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of experience are you planning to launch in your property? Because I believe it's not going to be about a bed, about the location, but it's going to be something else. So how does it look with you, with your hotel? Like, what are your thoughts? 1 year hotelier, you had time to see the operations, you had time to see the revenue management, working on a technology part, doing everything on your own, thinking about how to invest the money, how to get the money back, what to do next. So what's next?
I don't want to disappoint you, but from our first year experience of running this hotel, it really feels that Greece is all about having your annual holidays. So you want to come, you want to have a nice bed, you want it to be clean, you want personal attention, which is very important in the small to medium-sized hotels. We had lots of customers that could stay in bigger and more expensive 4 and 5 stars, but they didn't stay because they said they like the personal service of having, the owner at the hotel and just chit-chatting. So that's obviously a particular segment. But again, these people are there just to have holidays. Sleep, swim at the beach during the day. And some of them, in particular, of course, English people would prefer to spend more time by the pool rather than by the beach. So today we have a 3-star semi-refurbished property with 25 rooms. Obviously, we changed everything. The previous owners didn't have a PMS, didn't have a channel manager, they didn't have anything. So we set that up all. We set up, of course, a restaurant system for the POS. The plans for next year is to have electronic locks at the doors, which will also be automatically compatible with the PMS. So it's not about you coming to the reception and asking for a key, because we only have one shift. The receptionist is working from 9 until 6, and that's basically it. So once you're about to arrive, you need to complete an online check-in, and once you complete the online check-in, you can receive a 4 or 6 digit code directly to your phone. The reason we're doing that is because it is much cheaper and beneficial to do that rather than to having a second shift of a receptionist.
Well, you can also attract completely different customers, because if you have the reception from 9 till 6, and there is someone arriving in the evening, so it could be challenging and could take you out of the game for that client, because you simply are not operating. So, I mean, you are actually opening yourself for a bigger segmentation of the clients.
Correct. So this year you could always pick up the key from the bar, or there would be someone there as well. But it's a completely different thing when you have a unified experience that you can, basically go to website, book, and after you're booking and paying, right? Because
Yes.
I don't want someone to check in at 11 o'clock
Without any
without
payment.
having payment. So there is this automation that we will be building with this particular company that will provide us the log, that basically if you book at 9 o'clock in the evening and I'm not at the hotel, you'll first have to pay before receiving your key, which is especially important for one-nighters. What happens in the shoulder season if someone checks in at 10 o'clock at night and leaves at 6 o'clock before the reception open, right? So
I mean, it's standard. I've been staying in many of those hotels. So, I mean, it should become, let's say, standard.
correct.
I mean, it's nice to have people who are going to talk to you, engage you during the stay and stuff like that. But I don't think they are there to just give you the keys. This is my approach.
So initially this year I've done a mistake. I was basically trying to put as much information on the website for the destination, for recommendations for bar and restaurants and beach bars and everything. And then everyone was coming at the reception and saying, okay, so where should we go? Shall we go to which fish taverna, or to which village, or to what is a beach that my kids can have some fun? So we would have most of these answers on our website. And initially I thought that if our receptionist spends a lot of time dealing with every single guest, like when will she have time to, make phone reservations or reply to emails or charge guest credit cards via booking.com virtual card, etc. But then when the season finished, I basically thought with clear mind that one of the reasons why I want to automate as many processes as possible, including the fact that all virtual cards, I want them to be charged automatically next year, is actually to allow the receptionist to have more time to speak with guests and to basically create a great experience for the guests, because it's their annual holidays. And I think that you will certainly agree with me
100%, 1,000%.
absolutely nothing more important than having great time during your annual holidays, because during your annual holidays you're going somewhere to recharge and then go back to the day-to-day pressure. I need to wake up, I need to make breakfast for my kids, I need to take them to school. Oh, they're calling me at work, I'm waiting a reply to this email in 1 hour, and the daily, let's call it the daily stress.
That's right.
And that is the ultimate reason why we want to have a higher automation, is to be able to spend more time with guests. It's completely different from what I was thinking, because as a revenue manager, for me, it was always the numbers and do it faster and automating. And, it didn't matter whether it's George or John or Marek or Mirek. It was all
It was number.
It was all numbers.
Yes, welcome to my world. Welcome to my world. This is it. And how to balance it. This is the biggest, let's say, challenge to see like where my priorities are and what I should, do the first. So I'm really happy that you find yourself in this case. But in terms of the product, we have been spoken some times ago, and you mentioned that you would like to maybe extend the hotel outside the hotel in the extended area like land. What you have, go for a glamping. Is this idea still alive or not? Or it was a secret and I should not supposed to talk about that.
So that's something we're evaluating, but we just need more time on that.
Okay.
Yeah, considering the fact that we can't add any more inventory, this could be potentially the only possibility we actually have.
Okay.
It's a big topic, but also it's a long-term project. Like, right, I'm very happy with how we ran our first season, but it really feels that it's only the first step, and there are many more steps that we want to do.
Perfect. So let us do one last takeaway for our listeners and someone who is actually watching the video at this moment is, let's say, is there any aha moment, wake-up call, or any kind of calling to all hoteliers about the revenue management, like anything? Give me some takeaway.
So back in the days, maybe 30 years back or 20 years back, revenue management system would be extremely
expensive. Okay.
Very difficult to implement. Very heavy or enterprise level. Today, that's definitely not the case. And considering the fact that there is nothing more important than human capital, whether you're a business owner or whether as a business owner you value your own staff's time, I think it's becoming very relevant in order to start cutting all this routine work. I said earlier, 66% of the time in independence, you call them indie hotels, is spent for non-revenue generating tasks. And basically, by automating all these tactical day-to-day, have time to make a step back and to set strategies. And from being a report maker or an entry data person like you were starting in Hilton in late 90s. Intercontinental or in early 2000 to basically become a commercial leader, have strategies, set strategies, measure them, and just spend the time on things that will have a much bigger impact on the business. Because creating more and more Excel reports, what is actually the real impact of the business? As our product management director says, his name is Alexei Kovrigin, and he's like you for 25 years in revenue management, with a vast experience in also other revenue management systems before us, including the top ones. At least for the coming 5 years, and I don't really have a visibility with all this AI, how it will be further. AI is not going to replace revenue managers, but revenue managers using AI will definitely replace or outperform, more correctly, revenue managers not using anything and just doing Excels. I think it goes under this direction.
I wish for this actually, because I believe the revenue manager is really that beginning. This is that demand generation and, setting up the strategies, and we just need to have someone to tell us.
You are right. You're right. Even today, in certain chains, there is a director of sales and marketing, and the revenue manager would basically be liable or report to the director of sales and marketing. But we see more and more chains, small chains, bigger chains, having the title of Chief Revenue Officer. And you know what? Chief Revenue Officer does also include sales, and does also include marketing, and does also include revenue management.
And this is what we have already in indie hotels for 20 years. Welcome to my world.
And that's definitely something I was thinking. There is a very big chance it's going this direction maybe 7-8 years back. But how many revenue managers you think 10 years back or 15 would really think that in the future there will be such a title called Chief Revenue Officer? It's something completely new because,
that's right,
as you said, revenue managers is not only about this day-to-day, which is perceived about being a lot about this day-to-day, but it's all about the commercial strategy. And closing, last one, I think this is exactly the reason why we see lots of revenue managers becoming commercial managers. I'm not saying that director of sales can't become, but apparently there are more revenue managers evolving to the role of a commercial leader, of a commercial maestro, rather than from other disciplines. So it's about the commercial thinking overall, and not only about how you can use Excel. And I'm not bad in Excel, but there are definitely many more people doing that much better than me. But is this the really crucial skill to take a revenue manager to the next level? I definitely think it's not, especially with all this technology that we're discussing. All this will be automated.
Yeah, I hope for this. I hope for this because I want us to be more on that commercial part and finding the niche for our hotel and to really scale the business in our niche. This is actually my hope.
Yeah.
And we will have, let's say, niche-oriented revenue managers. This is, or commercial managers in this case.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to you for hours. It will never have an end, but we have to start talking.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do one more thing. Give me the name of your hotel so we can have a look on your website where we would like to, where maybe we can spend the holidays.
Ampelia Hotel Cassandra.
It's with the Greek accent, now with English accent.
Maybe you should try doing that, Radka. My Greek accent is very obvious.
Okay.
Ampelia
Ampelia
Hotel